Support WrestleTalk!
By the 6th day of 2023, the wrestling industry had already had three biggest Story of the Year contenders. Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega having one of the best matches of all time, Sasha Banks leaving WWE for New Japan, and Vince McMahon just 5 months after being forced to retire by his own company due to mounting allegations of sexual misconduct, forcing his way back into WWE. And on the 10th day, our beloved sport of professional wrestling experienced arguably the biggest news story in its history. Jinder Mahal just showed up in NXT! On Developmental's New Year's Eve special, former WWE champion Jinder jumped the Creed brothers from behind to support Sangha, with Veer Mahan out to presumably be coming. Mahal even got a Jinder chant from the crowd. With that, and Charlotte Flair's random return to immediately win the SmackDown Championship on the 31st of December, we probably should have figured it out. Vince really has wrestled complete control of WWE back. Because his own daughter has stepped down from her CEO role, he was voted back unanimously as chairman, in the sort of unanimously you get in dictator-led elections, and, most shockingly, seems set to sell WWE to the Saudi Arabian Investment Fund, in a deal that might have already been agreed months ago. I'm Ollie Davis, and welcome to the Triple H WWE Commemorative Collector's Edition. It was a hell of a 5 months, Trips. A hell of a 5 months. Subscribe and enable notifications to always on to stay up to date with the wrestling business in our daily uploads. The story began with the resignation of Stephanie McMahon from her role as co-CEO of WWE alongside Nick Khan. Giving the Prime Minister of Britain job a run for its money, this is the second time Stephanie has resigned from WWE in just 7 months, having previously tried to leave in May 2022 to focus on her family. She was brought back just a month later, after WWE had reportedly buried her for leaving in a business magazine to be the interim chairwoman and CEO in the wake of sexual misconduct allegations against her father first emerging. Because what says we don't sexually exploit our own employees better than having a female CEO? She was made chairwoman and co-CEO with Khan the following month when said allegations forced Vince to completely retire from the company. It was always an odd move, as Nick Khan should have really been the sole chief executive. But there were political, PR, and Machiavellian reasons to keep Stephanie in a high-profile position, chiefly to act as a business reputation shield for Nick Khan, to act as a progressive diversity shield for the company, and maybe to act as Vince's eyes and ears during his exile, the only blood relative left in WWE. Stephanie tweeted a statement announcing her January departure, calling the last 8 months the opportunity of a lifetime and a privilege to work alongside her co-CEO Nick Khan. Interestingly, she never really gets behind her returning father, and when she does, it's explicitly to remind him of how Nick Khan and Triple H should be running the company. Our founder, Vince McMahon, has returned as executive chair and is leading an exciting process regarding strategic alternatives. And with Nick's leadership and Paul Triple H Levesque as chief content officer, I am confident WWE is in the perfect place to continue to provide unparalleled creative content and drive maximum value for shareholders. She signs off the statement with, "Then, now, forever, together," which is increasingly feeling like the Mafia Code of Silence. And like all things now, this is just the latest prediction Luke and I made in our Royal Rumble 3-count show to come true. Tries to leave. Watch our full 3-count prediction show, which also predicted Vince winning the Rumble. Please don't manifest that one, universe! In the link down below. Fightful Select has reported that several WWE wrestlers have expressed their uncertainty about Stephanie's resignation, which is presumably just their measured way of saying, "Oh no! Oh God! Oh no! Oh God!" And they have their doubts over what it actually means for who will really be running the company going forward. That's because it comes just 4 days after Stephanie led a backstage meeting with employees where she reassured everyone Vince's return was purely to pursue the sale of WWE and won't actually affect the day-to-day management team. It'll be business as usual. But potentially revealing not all was well back then, it's also come out that Stephanie told everyone at that meeting there's naturally some animosity when talking about her father's return, before correcting herself to say angst. To psychologists and my mother, that's what's known as a Freudian blowjob. I mean slip! Mummy! Brian Alvarez corroborated the backstage dip in morale, tweeting, "Also can't say this has been great for morale today. A lot of people really like Steph." Stephanie, of course, famously invented women's wrestling in 2016. Stephanie's resignation came during the same strategic offense that saw Vince McMahon unanimously elected as executive chairman of the board, a formality following his letter of intent the previous week. It's speculated Stephanie might have been forced out or stepped down so she didn't have to vote against her father. Unlike Vince's first public statement, which was issued on behalf of an external PR company, this one was from WWE itself, truly acknowledging how the two entities have once again combined. Nick Khan was also announced as the sole CEO, with Stephanie stepping down. Despite Stephanie's removal, Sean Ross Sapp reports that Triple H is still WWE's chief content officer, meaning he controls creative. For now. Make WrestleTalk.com your homepage to keep up to date with all the instant breaking news on this. Links in the video description below. Vince regaining the most powerful position in WWE came in the corporate equivalent of the Red Wedding. When he first went public with his plan, he installed himself, George Barrios, and Michelle Wilson on the board of directors, filling WWE's governing body with his allies and removing those he likely saw as enemies for forcing him out in the first place, voting against his return the previous month, and potentially even leaking the original investigation story to the Wall Street Journal in June. WrestleNomics have tweeted that since the fall, 6 of the 11 board members have either left or been replaced, with Jeffrey Speed, Ignace Lahoud, Alan Wexler, Joellen Leons Dillon, Manjeet Singh, and Stephanie McMahon no longer being directors. Coincidentally, those people were part of the board that unanimously rejected Vince's return in a December vote. These are highly compensated positions. To have so many leave in such a short span of time implies people are being forced out, or they can no longer support the governance of the company and do not want their names associated with it. Manjeet Singh is an especially interesting name, as he was the leading investigator on the Vince McMahon investigation internally. That leaves WWE's current board of directors with a majority of Vince McMahon yes men: Nick Khan, Triple H, Michelle Wilson, George Barrios, and Vince McMahon himself. Having a board you majority control is an absolute win for sociopathic control freaks. But you know what's even better? Having no board whatsoever so you can do what you want in secret. Cue the Saudi Arabian investment fund. Immediately following the Stephanie resignation and Vince reinstation, unconfirmed rumours began to circulate that the Saudi Arabian investment fund was going to buy WWE outright, and it was pretty much already completed. It began with the suspected WWE insider on Reddit, Kermit125, posting, "Update, eyes emoji, WWE has been sold." Then Cassidy Haynes of Body Slam, who previously broke the Bryan Danielson to AEW news, tweeted, "For what it's worth, I'm told the Saudi deal is done, and they're taking the company private." Stephen Muehlhausen corroborated this, posting, "WWE has been sold to Saudi Arabia's public investment fund. The company will go back to being private. Unknown if Vince McMahon will return to head of creative, but it is expected by some people." And Sean Ross Sapp noted that the betting site Bovada, who had only just sent Fightful the betting odds on who would buy WWE, had suddenly stopped taking bets. The house was closed. It seems the darkest timeline is truly upon us. Not only was Vince McMahon back in full control of WWE, he was going to take the company private using one of the most morally dubious funding sources available. Just to explain what taking a company private means, since 1999, WWE has been a publicly traded company. That means while Vince might own most of the company, loads of other people and parties also own it. That could be from a big investment fund like BlackRock to someone like me and you. Business-wise, it allows you to supercharge your growth by having access to an influx of other people's money. But with great money, in theory, comes great responsibility. As soon as you become a publicly traded company, because you are dealing with other people's investments, you have to be far more transparent with how you conduct your business. And the government body, the SEC, is there to make sure you do. In theory, WWE serves the shareholders, not Vince. The board of a company is the small group of people who are meant to make sure that company is obeying the rules. They hold the executives that run it to account. Again, in theory, it was the board that investigated Vince McMahon for sexual misconduct allegations, for instance, not WWE's HR department. If WWE is to go private again, all those pesky requirements like transparency and investors' calls and having a board of directors and the SEC go away. And with a backer as rich as Saudi Arabia, the amount of money available could easily eclipse what you could generate through stock sales. I said when Vince McMahon forced his way back onto the board on Friday the 6th that it was an ingenious ploy. Vince's name is actually bad for shareholders, where the December hint at his return corresponded with a drop in share price. But a sale of the company is very, very good. By making Vince and the sale so intrinsically linked, as he wouldn't let that happen without him, Wall Street welcomed him back with a stock market bump and a 3-year high. And then, once Vince is in, he doesn't need to actually sell. He could change his mind. It's all just a Trojan horse to get McMahon running the company again. I never once considered he could be using it to secure himself even more control by removing the board and the shareholder interests completely. As the Saudi deal seems so far along already, this feels like a master plan Vince has been working on for months. Like everything in WWE corporate, this is right out of an episode of Succession, specifically Season 2, Episode 9, when the Roy family tried to take their company private using morally compromised money from an unnamed dictator-led state. But as WWE know better than anyone, the Saudi prince is a pretty volatile business partner. There's no guarantee that the Saudi investment fund would keep Vince around for long, and the risks for WWE's future that could pose are significant. Of course, there's the talent. Wrestling Observer Radio has reported already that everybody was scared at the NXT taping, and there is uncertainty throughout the company. Fightful Select adds that there is an incredible amount of concern over Vince's return, and that if the deal goes through, at least one wrestler said they'd be done with the company. It's not known who that is, but MVP, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn have all refused to appear on Saudi WWE events in the past due to moral objections. Despite being a major part of the Bloodline story, Wrestling Observer Radio reported Sami Zayn wouldn't appear at November 2022's Crown Jewel event because he is Syrian, and that was an issue on both sides, both his and Saudi Arabia. Kevin Owens also hasn't gone in the past for a number of reasons, one of which is loyalty to Zayn. There is also the potential of putting off talent who WWE want to bring in. AEW's MJF, who is currently in a year-long storyline about potentially leaving for WWE, is proudly Jewish and will presumably decline working for a country that is often criticized for its anti-Semitism. And if CM Punk was ever available, he's an opinionated fellow who once told The Miz to go suck a blood money-covered dick in Saudi Arabia, you f***ing dork. As important as the on-screen talent is to us, though, that won't make a difference to the potential billions that could be made from the sale. The only chance against it is the potential billions WWE could lose if it goes through. The Saudi-backed Live Golf Tour has struggled so much to get TV rights deals, they're reportedly paying Fox Sports to broadcast its tournaments. And in the UK, they might even give them away for free. Of course, Live Golf is new and doesn't have the IP history of WWE, but would TV networks pay as much for a company owned by the Saudis out of fear of critical blowback? We'll just have to hang on to the chance that the deal isn't already done. WWE only just hired JP Morgan to assist with a sale, and deals this complex and large typically take 3 to 6 months to complete. Cassidy Haynes has updated, the deal isn't completely finalized because WWE must provide notice to shareholders and other parties. There are legalities to go through as the company is publicly traded, but again, I'm told a deal has been agreed to in principle. Super kick that subscribe button to stay up to date and come chat with us live on the WrestleTalk podcast about the developments in the link in the video description below. And now go watch my explainer video on how Vince McMahon sees back control of WWE. The beginning of the end for Vince McMahon, or so we thought, began in April 2022, when the WWE board began investigating a $3 million hush money payment Vince had made to a former employee of the company.